Hey guys, this is Kevin here from Ready Made RC. Today I'm going to show you what to expect when you receive your Strix Nano Goblin and how to get it ready to fly. Alright, let's start with the unboxing. Fairly simple here. Now we did design this box so that you can use it for later transport. And it's really nice for fitting on top of the overhead bin on airlines. It's properly sized for that, and it's going to protect it. If you notice in the box, the fins are protected. You've got extra compartments here for other equipment or gear. So hang on to this box, don't throw it away. It's really good carrying case. Underneath the cardboard, you'll find decal sheet and the quick start guide. Of course, if you don't want to listen to me, you can follow this instead. Inside the cardboard, you'll notice the two propellers and a little Allen key. Put this aside for now. As you can see from the factory, the Nano Goblin comes pre-assembled. Electronics are already installed. You just need to add your RC receiver and any FPV gear you'd like to install. Inside the hatch, you'll notice a small bag. It includes Velcro and this wire. This wire was intended to power an all-in-one camera unit, namely the Cinepine. And it is a Pico Blade 1.25 connector right here. And this plugs into your receiver. So that all-in-one camera runs off of 5 volts. You can feed this underneath here to power your camera easily. This slot was actually designed for the Cinepine camera. So if you have one, this is a perfect way to power it. As far as electronics, we have included the Strix Cobra 10 amp ESC, and one of the best features about this is it has a 2 amp UBEC built into it. Now that's so you can power more things like your all-in-one camera or any other maybe GPS units that you might have plugged into this without the fear of overpowering the unit. For the Nano Goblin, we've included high-quality digital servos that have a very, very small amount of slop, and that's important for a plane of this size to have that precision. So we've included those already pre-installed for you. We've included a 1407 Strix/Cobra motor on this with a 3500 kV. It's good for 3-inch to 4-inch props. Just make sure you're not pulling over the 10 amps that's recommended on this ESC. The included Allen wrench is only for your motor mount. If you pull out these 2 Phillips screws here, there are 4 M2 screws behind the motor, and this is what the Allen key is for. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate a very important step for the Nano Goblin, and that is throttle calibration. You might not have full throttle, or your controller might not work altogether if you have not calibrated the throttle. In order to do that, we're going to have an already bound receiver. Propeller is off on the motor. This is very important. We don't want to have any injuries, so make sure your propeller is off. To do this, we're going to put the throttle all the way to the top, or full speed. We're going to plug in the battery. You hear the tones. When it stops, throttle down. You quad guys will appreciate the sound and know exactly what it is. And now our throttle is perfectly calibrated to this transmitter. This ESC is BLHeli 32, so it can be programmed through the Passport mode or through an Arduino programmer. If you notice in the box, we've included 2 propellers. One is right hand and the other is left hand. We included 2 because the mold includes 2 propellers, and rather than throw them away, we figured you'd like to have a spare in case you happen to break one. So with your motor, you're going to want to determine after you've installed your receiver which way it's spinning, and that's the propeller you will use. If you need to change the opposite one, you'll have to swap 2 of the motor wires inside here by the ESC to change direction. On the bottom of your Nano Goblin, you'll notice 2 skinny lines. That's actually your center of gravity point. And for your first flight, you're going to want to be dead on that line. So if you are a millimeter in front of it or a millimeter behind, readjust your battery until you have the proper center of gravity. After your initial flights, you may want to move that back by about a millimeter to get the absolute best flying characteristics. On planks or flying wings, reflex is the amount of basically up trim you have on each elevon in order to achieve level forward flight. The Nano Goblin requires very little of this or next to nothing. So when you set it up to fly, you're going to want to have this practically neutral along with this line here. Other wings you would have it pointing up a few degrees, but on the Nano Goblin you want this nice and flat for the best flight the first time. Control throws on the Nano Goblin are extremely important. If you have too much, it'll be very, very twitchy. So we recommend about 10 to 12 millimeters of total travel for the entire elevon. On my personal plane, I use Expo, 20% on the roll and 30% on the pitch. The pitch is a little more sensitive, so I tone that down a little bit more. Launching the Nano Goblin is extremely easy. It's a lightweight plane. There's not much to do. I have launched it with throttle off and with full throttle. We haven't had any accidents yet, but if you are afraid of doing it, it is possible to launch with the power off if you're throwing into a steady wind. I have seen pilots do a discus launch by throwing it like this. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't recommend it, but if you're afraid, it might be something you try. Since this prop is so small, I usually go full throttle and launch it from the center of gravity right here into the wind, and it takes right off. I haven't had any issues yet. You might add some grip tape here just to keep your fingers from slipping, add a little more safety if you like. Of course, that'll have a little bit of a weight penalty, so keep this plane light and you'll have fun flying it. Okay guys, that pretty much covers everything. If you have any questions, we do have the insert inside here that tells you more about the adjustments and the travel, all of that. Just refer to this and have fun flying your Nano Goblin, guys.